Welcome to Elevate and Lead. This is Mike Chandler and joined today by Jennifer Bardot and Kelly Chandler as normal. And we have a special guest that we'll officially introduce in just a minute, Joe Fresta. He is a St. Louis native, if you will, does a lot of great things in the community. But today, let's start off with our typical reflection. Last week, I wasn't able to attend with Kathy Kilo Peterson, who runs a State Farm branch or insurance component of State Farm. Jen, Kelly, what kind of outtakes did you get from that discussion?
I thought Kathy was a fantastic guest. She is super active in our community, and we're actually customers. Mike and I are customers of Kathy. She does an incredible job of making sure the whole family is taken care of. And we talked a lot about that. As an example, when our oldest son, Dylan, turned 16, she invited him into her office to talk about the importance of insurance and safe driving, and really took that extra step to ensure that another third party adult was providing guidance for a family member getting ready to, as she described, take control of what could be a deadly weapon. And we don't really think of it that way, but it is. You're giving, the reins of this, multi-thousand-dollar or multi-thousand-pound car to someone that's learning to drive. So anyway, in a nutshell, I like the fact that she takes the holistic approach with the family and making sure everyone's taken care of. So she was great. Thank you, Kathy. And she's a sponsor of ours. So
yeah, she's a great member and great author too. So it was really cool to highlight her and get to actually hear more about what she does in the community. But I thought this was kind of funny. I had one of my grid authors reach out to me on Sunday. He's listening to our show, and then all of a sudden he sees her name on the highway. So I was like, talk about coincidental timing. So yeah, it was really cool to be able to highlight her and hear all of the impact that she's made in our community outside of the work that she does too.
Yeah, I listened to a couple outtakes on some things, and as everybody knows, I'm an artificial intelligence freak, or it's stuff that I just absolutely believe in, and we'll see it disrupt our industries. And her comment about Waymo and the autonomous taxi driving kind of things that'll affect both insurers and both the business community pretty specifically. I know she highlighted a little bit of information about that, but absolutely an industry that is going to be affected significantly by AI and the transformations coming that not enough people talk about, quite honestly. We could have a whole podcast on artificial intelligence and the transformations to business. And so it was interesting to hear her talk about that a little bit. So.
And the fact that she's forward looking, some people are putting that over in a closet. Like I might open that at some point, but she's forward thinking and very, into making sure that her entire agency is looking toward the future, not just what's happening right now. So that's another thing that I like about Kathy.
Yeah, even when she got off the show, she was talking about how she's actually encouraged our clients who have roof damage to go for the higher grade of roofing, just because our weather and these conditions are just going to get that much more severe. So she's definitely forward thinking.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kelly, let's take it over to one of our great sponsors, Audi of Kirkwood.
Yes, Audi of Kirkwood. They've been a sponsor really almost since the very beginning. So thank you again. Hurry in to Audi for the best deals of the year during the Season of Audi sales event. Shop Audi Kirkwood's great selection of new Audis and get up to $5,000 off plus 1.99% financing for 72 months on select new Audi models. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find the perfect new Audi for you at Audi Kirkwood. And don't miss the biggest savings of the year during the Season of Audi sales event. Go see Neil and the entire crew at Audi Kirkwood on Manchester Road, or shop their entire inventory online at audikirkwood.com. Audi Kirkwood, expect the exceptional. And I know our guest today, Joe, is very familiar with this location because it's right across the street from both our studio and one of his restaurants. So don't have to tell you where that is, do we?
No. Right there, we share a patio. How about that?
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that team comes over and does a little bit of support of the restaurant and eats there from time to time, Joe?
Absolutely. You get an Italian hunkering down, you come on over. We got great food. Put it up against anybody.
That's right.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll do a short segment here, as we always do, on Ask and Elevate. And today's question is from Chris out of Chesterfield. And an important question, maybe a little late stage question, but as leaders wrap up this year, what's the one thing they should reflect on before setting goals for 2026? And what does goal planning look like for 2026?
Well, I think you mentioned a big part of it, AI. I mean, whatever market you're in, whatever space you're in, I mean, it's ever changing, and you've got to be ahead of the curve. You got to be a couple steps ahead and recognize how it's going to impact your business or the space you're in, and you better make the proper adjustments because now it's going at warp speed now, depending on the industry you're in. I mean, you need to look ahead and do some forecasting and also be cognizant of your history,
Right.
depending on the business you're in, and know trends, and maybe the weather affects your business, whatever it may be. You've got to do a pretty solid job of forecasting, and take everything into consideration moving forward, because it's just like you said, it's rapidly changing at a very fast pace.
It is.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Joe said, I would be like, think about all the things you haven't been doing right and then tweak it rather than just keep doing what you know, and then to prevent those pit holes in the future. So as a leader, I would say, look at what you've done right, look at what you've done wrong, things you're not doing right, fix those so you don't keep going down that same path.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
never don't fix it if it isn't broke. But then there's
Right.
the other side of it, what we just talked about. You need to do. You have to tweak some things, And I've been doing that with the Pasta House Company, doing some things to get ourselves back on board and back on the train to ride along with the changes and market and branding and all that kind of thing to sort of keep the brand and the business relevant in the marketplace.
Yep.
And back to the idea of how quickly things are moving with AI, people that created their goals, if you will, on paper, that typically already happened. Like you said, Mike, it's kind of late. We're talking about this a little late. Usually your budgets are in place if you have a normal fiscal year around October and everything's finalized. Well, guess what? You know what? That might completely change because of AI. And so you have to be forward thinking, and in your mind or as a leader, you have to think, okay, what if this blows up? What if this budget, these goals we set on paper alters? I think we always have to be thinking really much more in the future. It's now more than ever because things are going to change. It's not if, it's when, and that timeline shrinks more and more as AI takes hold. So I would say this next year is really going to impact so many more companies than it has as of right now.
Yep.
And if you're not thinking like that and you think it's not going to touch you, I think you're just burying your head in the sand. So I would say, starting off the year fresh, as everyone likes to do, focus on those long-term goals, but you also need to have these quick wins in place because things are going to change. So I think it's balancing those two things out: quick wins, quick goals, things that you can accomplish with those longer term goals.
Yeah. I think it's two-part. One is to expand on that, and very specifically from an AI standpoint, if you haven't seen this, our buddy who runs Tesla, Elon Musk, is expected to essentially obtain $1 trillion in salary by 2030. He has already been deployed by the US government and other industries to create 10 million robots, humanoids, a year. They will be on the streets in 2027. And most importantly, if you listen to what's going on, they've already created a surgical robot that learns how to do what takes someone 7 years in med school in 7 seconds. And it has hands that are the size of a millimeter.
Yeah.
And before you say that
right?
that's never going to happen, it's
Mhm.
already happening. And it's already disrupting the HVAC industries and the warehouse industries, because these robots can be trained to come in and fix a very mechanical issue on knowledge that has taken people 30, 40, 50 years to go after. And so when you think about goals, back to Joe's point, every industry is going to be disrupted. It might take 10, 15, 20 years, but how does it affect your industry, your job, your role, whether you're a marketer, whether you're an HVAC person? And I've said this before, and I don't know, Chris, if you're listening, what sector you're in, but in that HVAC example right now, people are using AI to understand what's wrong with their system. And is it always right? No, but that's margin erosion from an HVAC provider. I don't need you to come in and do all the analysis and part ordering. So I can take away a lot of the analysis, and I can even order parts, which is a big profit margin for HVAC providers. So if I just relinquish you to come in and do the part exchange, that's a reality. And that's going to take away 50% of HVAC's, monetary kind of revenue. So those examples hit every industry, and you have to plan for that. How does it affect my industry, my sector, and my people? And then secondly, I think the thing that I always see people, and myself included, not do well is really connect organizational goals to the person that needs to execute. So I'm a customer service worker. How do I affect the bottom line and save costs, retain customers, and really set attainable goals for your people by function? And if you're a marketer, a seller, what do you do to move the bottom line forward? How do you contribute to that? Because I see a lot of companies put these arbitrary goals out there that are difficult to measure, difficult to monitor, and they truly don't move the needle. Doesn't affect revenue, doesn't affect COGS, doesn't do anything to move customer retention and satisfaction. There are these arbitrary goals that are put in place because you're put into this quarterly or annual cycle of goal creation. So making sure those goals are SMART, it's an old adjective of specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. But sit down with your people individually, understand what they're going to do to map the future, to Joe's point. And then secondly, what can they do to contribute to revenue, margin, cost savings, cost avoidance, and be very specific about that, because I think too many people fly in businesses, small business or corporate, with these arbitrary goals that really don't, move the needle for themselves or the company. So
Well, I was just picturing a robot in Joe's kitchen cooking for him. So I thought
That'll
that
never
might
happen.
be cool.
That
Yeah.
will never happen. That's therapy for me. Like some
Yeah.
people like to work in the garden. I like to
That-
work in my kitchen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
No,
that's
I
a
think
true
you're-
statement too, Joe.
I think to your point, everything from warehouse logistics to palletization in that space. I mean, it'll get it down to so efficient that it took years and years for human beings to figure out how to do it. They'll take all that knowledge and just really get it so fine pointed that it's great, all the way to the legal industry. I mean, I can have a legal document or legal agreement drawn up by AI in like
Yes.
2 seconds.
Right.
They're in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, they're a lot of contract lawyers are going to be going by the wayside unless you're a litigator. But then they'll probably have a robot, appear for you in court. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And appear on your behalf to argue your point in a court of law. So I mean, it's.
Yep. And when you think about that exact example, I mean, we already have machines that compete and beat humans in chess and that Chinese or Japanese game called Go. Like they're these war room situations. The robot is beating the human every single time. So it's just, it's interesting to see what's going to happen. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, well, there needs to be interjection from the governments on regulations, but unfortunately every government is like the space race. It's the first to get there, controls the seat. And so that's kind of the situation we have there. But let's close out Ask and Elevate there. Chris, we appreciate your question. Hopefully the insight from the 4 team members here gave you some things to think about. Be practical, but also take that time to think about the longevity of their role in your business and help them innovate with you for 26 and beyond. And if you have questions or comments on Ask and Elevate, as always, you can direct those to us via our Gmail, which is elevateandleadinfo@gmail.com, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn, which would be Elevate and Lead at LouInfo, and drop us a direct message, and we'll do our best to give you our thoughts and our answers. So, Kelly, why don't you give us another quick readout on a great sponsor called MPG, which does administration and operational placement of people.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Today's guest segment is brought to you by Morgan Pinnacle Group. CEO doesn't have to mean Chief Everything Officer. Morgan Pinnacle Group provides flexible, US based executive support so leaders can focus on growth instead of getting buried in tasks. Learn more at mpgstaff.com. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jennifer to officially introduce our wonderful guest today, who we've heard a little bit from already.
All right, here we go. So today we have Joe Fresta. Joe is a dynamic leader in our community. He has multiple businesses that he leads. I had the pleasure of actually being on the Supper Club as one of his guests. But before we kick things off, Joe, who are you?
Well, I'm Joe Fresta, born, as you said earlier, born and raised in the St. Louis community, just like so many of us. St. Louis is a unique place where the people that live here actually were born and raised here. We're not a very transient town, which makes our marketplace a little bit more dynamic and interesting and also challenging for those that do come in. But I'm involved. My family started the Pasta House Company restaurants, and of course, I'm involved with that now. And I've been in the insurance business for over 20 years, commercial insurance brokerage business. And then that I got into radio eventually, doing some things, sports talk radio, some hockey specific. And then it got into, because of a page I started on Facebook called Facebook Food Critic. I was probably one of the first people to do, I will say, really good photos of food on the social media, and people just went crazy over it, and it grew and grew. And that's how I got the food segment show with Frank Cusimano years ago. And that became successful. And then I had a few guys approach me to get into the liquor space and have my own liquor. And that's what spurred on Fresta Limoncello. And so, it seems to be a lot of this branding and marketing. And I've always had an interest in since I was young, really, like in college, and really, tried my hand at it and really saw what I could do with it with my cancer foundation when I put on a successful outdoor pond hockey tournament to raise money for cancer for 10 years, and also a wine and steak dinner that I did also at Fleming Steakhouse for years, and then got into other areas of marketing because I knew I needed to widen my scope of donors. I couldn't keep hitting the hockey community all the time. So
Right.
I had to start doing some other things. And I got an actor, Christopher Cerrone, who played in Goodfellas, come in town. He did a dinner for me. I've done Handel's Messiah, a full orchestra and choir concert at St. Ambrose Church on the Hill. Raised money there. Had about 500 people there to do that event. So everything just has sort of parlayed for me in this branding marketing sector, if you will, and it's worked out pretty well for me.
Incredible. It's absolutely incredible as an entrepreneur. You're so dynamic and you're pretty much in every industry. So obviously I know this, but you're a 2-time cancer survivor. So Tell us more about what that was experienced and how did that shape you?
Well, that shaped me a lot. I mean, I was first diagnosed when I was 25 years old, and then got it again 13 years later, stage 4. And by the grace of God and friends, family, and my faith, we got through that. And that's really what kind of got me on the cancer foundation journey. I attended the NHL Winter Classic in Chicago. Was one of the first ones they did at Wrigley Field. And I'd been to a lot of sporting events, World Series, Super Bowls, Final Fours, Frozen Fours. And there was just nothing like it. I mean, hanging out at Murphy's bleachers in the middle of winter and the snow's coming down and all these people were getting ready for a hockey game, and went into the ballpark and just sitting there thinking, wow, this is really great. And it was just sort of a premonition. So it all came to me in about 30 to 60 seconds. I ought to do a hockey tournament, and we're senior men's guys can harken back to their childhood of playing pond hockey and all this kind of thing. And I'll do it at Steinberg Ice Rink, and I'll make money. And then it's almost like I got punched in the shoulder and said, no, you're going to do it for cancer. And so that's how the whole idea came about, and moved forward with it, and raised over $2 million for cancer and for families that fight cancer. But I think the main thing is what that whole experience, it totally changes your whole perspective in life. And you just live your life totally different than most people. Um, I call it live my life upside down. So if you were to list most people's priorities, a list of priorities of what they want to do in life, my list would probably be inverted compared to theirs. What's really important to that guy across the room is probably not real important to me. You know what I mean? So I learned to just move forward in my professional life to serve me, get up every day and do exactly what I want to do, because you never know. You never know when the end's going to come, whether you get cancer or you get hit by a car or whatever it may be. So that's sort of how I've lived my life moving forward and still do today.
That's fantastic, and we're
Yeah.
happy that you're here with us today and have been
Yeah, me
able to
too.
overcome that. That's a
Yeah.
fantastic story, and I'm sure
Yeah.
the medical community's even gotten better from your first round to coming back to it and where it is today, and that fundraising is really directly helping people with the advancements in cancer treatment and eradication. So I mean, that's a
Yeah, I work really closely with Mercy,
mhm.
the Pratt Cancer Center over there at St. John's, and it's amazing. It's so far they've advanced so far. My last episode was like over 20 years ago, so
Mhm.
the cutback in chemotherapy that a person has to do, or the radiation and the different. I mean, now they have pills you can take. But yeah, you're right, and I'm not really much of I'm not a research guy. My money goes directly to families to help them pay their
Yep.
bills, because what happens is somebody in the family unit gets sick, and then somebody has to give up their job because they're too sick themselves to work anymore, or they have to stay home and take care of a loved one, whether it be their child or their spouse. And guess what? Their income is cut in half.
Yeah.
So now guess what? The bills start piling up.
Of
The
course.
gas bill, the electric bill, the mortgage, the rent. Oh my God, my car just broke down. I got to fix that. So those are the types of things that the social workers that I work with at Mercy address with these patients. Because of HIPAA laws, I don't know who these people are. Very rarely do I meet the people that I help, but they identify these folks and make sure that their bills are taken care of, and away we go. And I think if you can relieve a lot of that stress of the financial piece, the financial stress piece, they can focus more on just drilling down and getting better themselves, mentally, emotionally, physically, along with their physician.
I love that. And you're so family oriented. So you'd mentioned earlier that you took over your family business for Pasta House. What was that?
Well, I haven't taken it over.
You're tied to it.
I don't want to hear,
What's it like to work for family business?
I've just gotten, I tell you what, it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm working closely with my father, which has been really great. I think I'm turning the place upside down a little bit, but they're not quite used to the speed at which I'm moving and the ideas I'm coming up with. I just finished rebranding our pizza after my father's original pizza parlor he had on the hill. A lot of people didn't know that he had a pizza place on the hill for 7 years before he got into the pasta business. Wow. And so I'm finally giving him credit for what actually the recipe is. The pizza recipe for the Pasta House company is from his old pizza parlor, Bastiano's, which was on the hill. Yeah. That's one of the things. And then I'm looking at some different scenarios to look at to kind of, again, you got to adjust moving forward. You got to adjust your business. Look at what the marketplace is doing. I mean, 60% of our business now is carry out. Wow. 60%. So
interesting.
That's why you see a lot of these restaurateurs that are successful now are going to these shotgun restaurants. Guys like Louis on Demond, Wright's Tavern, Westchester out in Chesterfield. There's a few other ones I can't name, but they're all sort of going to this smaller space, if you will, and maybe a higher price point, but their food's really good and they're thriving and they're doing well, so. The restaurant industry is definitely changing rapidly. as things have gotten a little more expensive, I think people are going out to eat. I don't care if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I think people have cut back a little bit on that. And so it's going to be challenging moving forward. Now, a lot of these restaurants are getting a nice little bump during the holidays with parties that they book and catering and whatnot if they're in that space. But I think after the holidays, people in the restaurant industry they're going to have some challenges that they're going to have to be ready for and address. And if they want to stay in business and be, thrive and be relevant.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, let's pick that up right after a short commercial break here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that because I think it's a very insightful awareness for the food industry. So we'll be right back after this short break, and we'll rejoin on Elevate and Lead.
Morgan Pinnacle Group provides U.S.-based executive support for the work that eats your time and energy. Operations, manufacturing, marketing, finance, legal research, content creation. Start with as little as 10 hours a week and scale as you grow. If you can't find the perfect full-time hire, Morgan Pinnacle Group builds fractional teams across specialties. And when you're ready for a long-term hire, they can help with that too. Schedule a quick call with mpgstaff.com and buy back your time with Morgan Pinnacle Group. Thank you very much, Mitch Morgan and Morgan Pinnacle Group. Well, we are going to continue the conversation with Joe. There's so many different directions we could take because he's involved in so many different things, but I want to back it up for 1 second and just reflect quickly on your time at Mercy, because I just went through an entire year with my father who had prostate cancer, and we were at Mercy. We were right there. Where you're talking about. I've spent many hours in that facility, and we had a great experience. And luckily, he was able to go and get the proton therapy, which is only in 2 spots. It's at Mercy, and I think at WashU, maybe in the entire state of Missouri. So I just want to say from personal experience, it means so much that you've done the fundraising for people going through that. And Mercy did a fantastic job. And I'm happy to report that his numbers are fantastic. So probably wouldn't even want me to talk about this live, but
they're great people over there. They really are. They're awesome. And it's been a joy working with them for over, I guess it's close to going on 20 years now. And
wow,
just been a great partner for me. And, in the helping of people space, you can WashU, Siteman, they do great things, but I think they're more in the research space, Sure. And so I think Mercy's a much better partner for me for what I do, and so it's been really great. Yeah, was this at the St. John's campus?
Yes.
Okay.
So right there at the Pratt Center that you talked about. And you said, do you have a statue or a fountain or something?
Well, they named in the Circle Drive, there's a fountain in the middle. They named the fountain after me. Yeah.
That is insane. And I will have now that when I go there for a checkup with him or something, I will pay closer attention because he used that little round circle for the valet because he has a huge car.
Okay. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah. Can't miss it.
Yeah.
Who's his doctor?
Agarwal.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
I had him on my show.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Crazy.
Very interesting guy.
He is. Yep. He is very interesting, and he'll tell you like it is. So, I had a good experience. So that was a little bit of an aside, but I just wanted to mention that because it personally did touch our lives very closely and still does. So, we're going to dive back into the conversation with you. Did you want to wrap up? I think we talked about wrapping up. We ended with.
I thought your point about the future of dining and restaurants was super interesting. I worked with Cheesecake Factory for a while as a consultant back in 2000. 13, 14. Was out in LA a few times with their headquarters. And it's funny, they were like all about the expansive menu, the in-store or the in retail and the experience and being tied to the restaurant experience, plus having this glorious menu to look at. And that behavior has certainly changed significantly, to your point about smaller footprint.
That menu was like War and Peace.
Oh my gosh. It's like, what do I even look at?
I never understood that. But hey, you can't knock it. They were successful for a long time. Don't know how they're doing now, but I mean, that menu's like, oh my gosh, talk about trying to be all things to all people.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it is
Yeah.
popping up a lot is the pop-up experiences, right? The Christmas experiences, the
Oh yeah.
Halloween experiences. You seeing that trend a lot in the
A lot of
restaurant space?
speakeasies popping up now.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot of these
Yes.
speakeasy concepts. Yeah.
We're going to one on New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
as a matter of
club.
fact. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So your limoncello, how does that all
Yeah.
fit in some of
Interesting
the
story. The Facebook food critic, like I had mentioned before, it led into my restaurant radio show that I did. And then I had a couple fellas approach me and say, "Hey, look, man, we want to do a booze with you, a liquor drink." I says, "Well, what are you thinking?" And they kind of were kicking around bourbon and stuff. And I said, "Look, hold on. I'm everybody and their brothers doing bourbon and tequila and vodka, and everybody from George Clooney to Brett Hall
And
to
Snoop Dogg.
and Snoop Dogg." I said that is such a saturated. I don't even want to go there, So I said, "Look, this is what I will do. I'll do a limoncello because it's more in step with who I am, being Italian and whatnot, and nobody's doing it." And so they said, "Okay, we'll do it." And so that's what we did. I designed the packaging and the logo and the branding on the bottle and the type of bottle, and it's a very good product. It's all natural. If you go to the grocery store and you see my limoncello next to the other ones, theirs sort of glow in the dark. It's kind of like this neon yellow.
Yep.
That's not what lemon looks like,
Yep.
So ours is all natural and it's gluten free. It's just a more of a clear color because that's really what the lemon is, the juice that's in that comes from the peel after fermentation. But it's done really well. I mean, we're in Schnucks, Dierberg, Straub's, Total Wine and More, Randall's, Friar Tuck's, and a lot of restaurants in and around the St. Louis area too. So, and Missouri, quite frankly. So it's done very well. It's only about, I think we're not even 2 years old yet, and it's just been, pretty successful to get into an industry that's so competitive. I mean, the liquor industry is it's something else. It's a whole nother animal we could talk about on another show, but I'm really proud of how it's done. So we're going to continue it on and see if we can make it more, saturate the Missouri marketplace, and then hopefully we can go more into a national direction.
I've sampled it at Fleming's. I've sampled it at local, 801 local.
Yeah.
But you were just telling me before we got on the show, you got a signature drink coming out. What's that like?
Yeah, they did a 801 local is their mixologist, if you will, has come up with a limoncello, a Fresta limoncello spritz, I believe. I tried it. They made one for me, and it is going to go on their winter cocktail menu when they release that. I think that's coming out in a couple weeks, I believe. So pretty
How
proud
cool.
of that, to have my own signature drink at 801 local.
Yeah,
Love that place,
congrats.
by the way.
Delicious.
Yeah.
That's great.
They do a great job over there.
We'll be getting some limoncello as some gift exchange presents.
I think that's a great.
for-
And the fact that I love the name of your spritz or whatever the new one is, because it sounds fresh. Your name Fresta, and it has a. You want to try it. It sounds refreshing, I guess is my
It's
point.
very
Good
refreshing.
name. He has a good
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and a lot of restaurants just do it. They make it. It's almost like a what do they call Aperol spritz.
Yes, totally. That I've had a million.
And they just put my limoncello in there in its place, and it's really good. But they've done a little bit different twist on it. It's a different color. They do sort of I think they throw an orange Pellegrino in there. Pretty good stuff. But there's so many things you can do with limoncello. You can cook with it. You can bake with it. You can get creative with different cocktails, or you can do it like the Italians do traditionally, is just kind of sip it after dinner,
Yes.
which is what it was originally
Like a brandy.
intended for. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a digestive. So
I never had it until I worked at Express Scripts years ago, and we were at a conference in Florida, And I was sitting with Tom Bunano, a fellow Italian, right? And he's like, "Oh, you should have the limoncello." And I'm like, "Okay, I've never heard of this." And it was exactly that. It was after dinner. I was like, "This is so good." It was just cool. I'd never heard of it, and obviously it's a traditional Italian thing. And so
Yeah.
I think you could really expand that in the St. Louis marketplace because it's so unique in terms of, like you said, bourbon, all that's everywhere, and it's.
Well,
I think
yeah,
it could be a
I
gift
mean,
item.
with all the outlets we're already in, I mean, we've done a pretty good job of doing that.
Absolutely.
But I want to get it more into the Lake of the Ozarks area, Kansas City, and wherever else we need to concentrate on, just growing from the epicenter of St.
Sure.
Louis, and then we'll look at other states and whatnot and go from there. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
talking about being a foodie, I remember you were sharing a story because he's such an amazing food critic. He gets free meals when he goes to Chicago.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. They want you in there. They want you to talk about it.
It doesn't work in St. Louis. People know who I am when I walk
Yeah.
in the door. But when I'm out of town, I'll say, "Yeah, I'm a Facebook food critic." Come on. I said, "No, here it is, right here." And all of a sudden, here come the appetizers and
Smart. So smart.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, and you got to
Yeah,
get
it's
that
pretty
in at
funny.
the Ozarks. That'd be a good
Oh.
addition
Oh,
down there.
summer
And
drink, absolutely.
We know a ton of people down there, and so does Jennifer. We know the owner of Redhead. We know, if you want to,
Oh, really?
we
Yeah.
should talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a lot of people. We know
Okay,
2 of the
maybe we'll-
mayors down there.
Could hire you as a salesperson down there. How about that?
Hey,
we'd be
We're
happy.
there
We'd
all
be
summer.
happy to connect you with a lot of the local restaurant owners and the big party owners. We've just gotten to know quite a few of them through Kelly's dad. That
Okay.
has financed
Yeah.
a lot of those operations when he was a banker. So happy to make connections if you need them for sure.
Yeah, I have friends with the Browns, and they owned.
Browns. I know Ashley Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're such great
Yeah.
people. Of course, his mother's a cobbler, but they own
Right.
Lodge of the Four Seasons.
Mhm.
But I think they just
Cool.
recently sold it. Correct?
Oh, I'm not sure.
think
I
they
haven't talked
did.
to Ashley in a little while.
I think they sold it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well,
So
for those who haven't seen his supper club, tell us more about that.
Oh, yeah,
You
then,
have
yeah.
some incredible guests that you've interviewed.
yeah.
I've started a kind of the radio thing parlayed into basically a TV show. Right? It's called Supper Club, reminiscent of the old supper clubs. I don't know if you'd ever been up in. They were very popular back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in states like Indiana, up in Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Michigan a little bit. There were these old supper clubs. Used to go to one in Indiana. My mother's from Evansville, Indiana, and we'd go to this. Her aunts and uncles would take us to this place called Kennel Club, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I always remembered this, and I always thought, I'm going to do something with that name or something. And that's what I ended up doing. I named my show after Supper Club, and it's not food specific. I do have well-known restaurateurs on, but I also have celebrities, people of interest, and whatnot. I've had Dominic Galati from Dominic's Restaurant. I've had Chris Pronger has been on lately. I had Jim Montgomery, the coach of the Blues, on. Then I go into I had a charity on, Dogs for Our Brave. I had Brian Pichelle on, who's the director there, and we just did that show yesterday.
I saw our own Charlie Tuna on there too.
Charlie Tuna on. Yeah, that was an interesting guy. I mean, there's a lot of things there. Most people probably didn't know about Charlie. So if you want to watch, tune in at Supper Club with Joe Fresta. It's on YouTube, and you can watch that show as well as we've got quite a catalog now, about 20 shows maybe now.
That's awesome.
So people love it. They really enjoy it. And the thing about it is, as you guys know, they can watch it. If they have to go take off, they can pause it and come
Right.
back and watch the rest later.
Perfect.
Some of the shows last for an hour 15. Some of them are only 35, 40 minutes, depending on the content and, how warm the show continues to be as we go. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Did 3 shows yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's a long day.
Venue's gorgeous.
Oh yeah. It's the original. We shoot the show in the original Sala's restaurant. It was one of the first Italian restaurants on the hill back in the day. That and Ruggeri's. You probably remember that name. And we shoot the show in the actual dining room of that restaurant. And so it's just a nice, cool backdrop for us. And it is kind of supper clubby looking.
Mhm.
gives us that feel and that look that we want. And it's just a great space. It's now an event space run by Catering St. Louis, Mark Erker and his wife Carlene, and they do a great job there. It's if you've ever heard of a thing called Wine Down Wednesday, I think I've
Mhm.
You've
told
been
you
trying to
about
get me
that.
down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Kelly, we need to go.
Yeah,
All
you guys
right.
need
Hey,
to check
I'm
it out.
in.
It's really neat. They do a great job. Then, of course, they got probably the best antique mall in town attached
Mike
to it.
Mike
And
loves
they just
antique
do a lot of
malls.
great
Yep.
events. Yeah, it's a great space. Yep.
Yeah.
Joe, it's interesting because we started off talking about AI and how it's going to tear apart industries and sectors and jobs. What's interesting on the backside of it is they say there's going to be a uptick in experiences in hands-on cooking, like you talked about, hands-on making experiences, food, entertainment. What is all of this
Hands-on driving.
hands-on driving? What is
Yeah.
all of this background of storytelling and community and connection done for you and taught you over the past 15, 20 years? And where do you see it moving beyond 26 for you and your business plans?
Well, I really like to do again. I know they will probably have robots that cook, but I still
Yeah.
want to cook.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. And I really enjoy sitting down with people. I do pre-interviews with people before I do the show. I do a
Mhm.
tremendous amount of research. I'll meet with somebody that knows my subject very well, and they can give me a lot, even if I just get a few fun facts, if you will, about them. It's worth it. But it just helps me get to know that person um, from someone else's perspective of being a friend or a family member or whatnot, and may give me some insight on some things that most people don't know about them that's never been talked about either on radio or TV. And I also sit down with the person themselves and I interview them before I have them on the show. So it's fun. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. And as long as I enjoy it, I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and that's something that AI can't do. The relationship. They can do surface level stuff, but the depth of that you go into.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could ask AI. You can go on Chat GPT and ask, about a specific person, and they can just spit out a whole
Right.
liturgy of whatever. But it's all compiled of probably other interviews that they've
Mhm.
done or whatnot, and it's pretty much stuff that everybody knows already
Exactly.
anyway.
Yep.
So I really prefer to sit down with someone who's close to them and, like I said, get some fun facts
Yep.
that most people probably don't know about the person. And I think that's what makes the show interesting is when you can deliver something over the medium that people didn't know about the person or the subject matter that you're talking about. So again, if it's not fun, I don't do it.
Yeah.
The restaurant business is fun. The limoncello business is fun. My insurance business is fun because I get to learn about all these different industries and different businesses that I insure and people that run them. And I learn a lot from them, which again, I think it's helped me. I use that word parlay a lot into different things that I'm doing now. So it's just sort of this sort of thing that just it's really served me well in all that I do.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. And what have you learned about resilience and perseverance over the course of your career and tenure? What things can you share with listeners about your lessons learned and what you've
Well,
gained?
that is like really that's a layup for me. That's easy. Well, just beating cancer. I mean, I beat it once, and then I had to do it again, stage 4. I would do 4 hour of what was it? 5 hours a day? No, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for 9 weeks in a row.
Mhm.
I did chemo. That's not what most people do anymore, but I mean, the chemo should have killed me, honestly. I mean, it was just, but through, faith, friends and family, I got through it. I'm hard on that. I mean, that's what got me through. And, here I am today. And the good Lord wanted me to stick around for a little longer. And that's why I do the Cancer Foundation as, as told going to that first snowy NHL Winter Classic in Chicago, and it's just amazing where life can take you. But yeah, I mean that, I come across challenges in business and stuff like that, but given what I've gone through with cancer, it's just it's nothing. I see problems as an opportunity, right? It just presents an opportunity for me to go in a different direction, or how to to make it better, or pivot, or sashay into something else, or do it a different way. So yeah, that would be my answer to that question. That's for me, that's an easy one.
I just love that mindset. If it isn't fun, I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. Yeah. I'm not having fun doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Life's too short, right?
Totally.
So
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, what maybe in a closing question for you, so we can talk about next week as well, coming up. What kind of advice would you give to leaders navigating some of this change in 2026? I think you've answered a piece of that, but what advice do you have for leadership navigating whatever it is, AI change, industry disruption, supply chain issues? What kind of advice would you give people as you approach 2026 that they can model?
Well, I addressed it a little bit. I think you need to be, you really have to be prepared. You have to be thinking about these things all the time. You've got to be 2 or 3 steps ahead. You probably, this.
Yeah. I try to get him in my jewelry business.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey, still that's still on the table. We can
need a
still
mail
talk about
line.
that. Yeah. But I mean, depending on the industry you're in, and there's so many of them, maybe the changes are going to help your business, maybe it serves your business if you can lock into it and take advantage of it. But then again, like you said, it may present some challenges for you too moving forward. So talk to people in your industry. What I noticed about the restaurant industry is the barbecue segment. When I would interview people in the barbecue industry, those guys are such a close-knit, even though they're competitors, they were always talking about how they would help each other out all the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though they were in the same industry, the same space, they were always like a close-knit group, and they would always help each other out if they had a problem, and they'd bounce things off each other. It's kind of cool. And I found that to be a common theme within the barbecue world, if you will. So that's another thing you can do too, is just communicate with other people and get advice from folks, and that that may help you move forward too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Joe. We appreciate the time and the effort and the energy and all the conversation. Jennifer, do you want to take us into final close?
Anytime.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Highlight your businesses and all that you've done.
Been watching you on social media. You're tearing it up, girl. You're always going. Yeah.
Thank you for taking your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So next week, we actually have Carlos Martinez and Megan Hornsby. They're owner of a local cheesecake company. So you're going to have to listen to that episode.
Oh, yeah.
So they're going to have conversations about their entrepreneurship journey, their partnership, and the way they've branded with the love of people. So you're listening to the Lou Information Station. Thank you for joining us on Elevate and Lead, and we will see you next week.
Awesome. All right.